TL2212, assignment 2B, professional monologue. So it's split into 3 parts. Part 1 is the reflections, which is question 1 and 2. That I'll be looking at reflecting on the research project and the poster, and then looking at my group's teamwork and ability for assignment 2A. Part 2 is acquired learning and skills, question 3 and 4. So this is understanding what I've learned through doing the assignment and what skills I've inherited whilst going through the research process. Part 3 is future development, so question 5 and 6, and that's just looking at my professional development needs and action plan. So part 1, question 1, what are your reflections on the research process for assignment 2A? So the first thing I'm going to look at is is finding a research question. So we thought it'd be something interesting. I think that's pretty important, just so then we want to work on it. It can help us in the future, but also something with gaps and limitations in the current literature prior to our research. Because if we don't want to redo the same literature that people have already done, or else it's pointless and it's not relevant, like I've put on the other arrow. So making it relevant is also about keeping it current as well and up to date, and we wanted to do something that is up to date and within the times that we're living in. So we did it around how teachers are getting on in COVID. So the next one is research design. So the question was qualitative method or quantitative method. So we picked qualitative just because we wanted detailed thoughts and detailed opinions to come out in our findings. Not to come out in our findings, to be provided to us by the respondents. So an online survey, that's what we picked. So the pros of the online survey is it's time efficient. You can use our time well with it. Great response rate because we can distribute the surveys quicker, and that means we can get them back quicker and more people might respond because it's online and it's quick and effective. And then the research design also helps us with the ethics part, because I was pretty nervous, but I feel like I've got quite confident in that now. I've gone over and had to fill in the forms myself, so I think research ethics has really been something good that I've got from the research process. So findings and critical discussion is the section next, and we wanted a good amount of data to review. So we got 6 questions on the online survey, and we had a handful of respondents because we thought if we only have a handful, then it means we've not got too much data. If we have too many respondents, it produces too much data, and we had to remember that it is a research poster that we're fitting on. We're not going to be able to have unlimited amount of space to be able to fit all that data on once we've gone through it and analysed it and such. And also the findings gave good exposure, I think, to understanding what's going on in peak courses during a global pandemic. I think it's kind of given a voice to maybe unheard voices, so it can kind of help out that way. Next is improvements. So like we've said in the research poster, we did want face-to-face, semi-structured, I'd say, interviews or a focus group, and we wanted that because we thought if we're face-to-face in the room with people, we could quickly clarify any questions, so it eradicates any confusion that they might have. Where online survey, obviously, we're not going to have direct face-to-face contact with them. They can't ask us as quickly to clarify the questions, and also adequacy. So are the questions, we can get instant feedback whether the questions are adequate to what we're actually trying to do in our research project. And that kind of leads to the irrelevance side, where I think in one of the questions it was about pedagogy. So it didn't, and after we reflected on the survey, we didn't, we realised that it wasn't really necessary. So I think that was something we can improve on. So part 1, question 2. What are your reflections on your group's teamwork and ability for assignment 2A? So time efficiency, I'd say, was excellent. We had a quick start, so we quickly began to create a survey after the assignment briefing was set out, and I think that's good because of COVID. We really wanted to quickly decide on a method that we're going to use, so online survey, and we wanted to distribute that as quickly as possible so people would have chance to be able to get back to us in time, because a lot of people are busy at the minute, especially what we were focusing on being teachers and lecturers. They will have busy schedules doing constant meetings and lectures, and I think it was good also that we had weekly meetings, so our organisation sort of skills also helped us with our time efficiency. We could set each week we knew kind of the structure that we was gonna go through, so yeah, we could structure it better, and that leads to team deadlines as well. Like, setting those team deadlines meant we was in it together. We all knew what we was doing. We was focused, and those time management skills really helped us get through the assignment and kind of keep a good structure to it. And communication, I'd say, was good. I'd say very good, actually, but there is room for improvement. So I think all 3 members were vocal students, and that's good because you can express ideas and you can express thoughts if you're vocal. Whereas sometimes if you're working in groups, if you don't have a vocal, then you might not get those ideas and you can't really bounce off each other as well. But I'd say an improvement for me personally, I'd say, is my listening. So maybe listening to others' ideas more, because I have a tendency to be quite stubborn and not change from my idea. And I think I need to be more open to suggestion. And I think having a group that I trusted and respected helped me look at those ideas more and be more open to them. And I think that's why working with friends is a good thing as well, because you can do it as a team. And there's a reference by Maldonado, 2009, that says working with friends can increase communication and it can increase idea production, but if you don't know them, it might cause less disruption because you're not friends, you're purely on the work. Part 2, question 3. What academic and research skills have you learned in the TL2212 module? So I've put 4 in there, referencing critical thinking, academic writing, and research ethics. I've put them 4 in because they were obvious things that I thought prior to starting the assignment that I would learn from and do. And I've put research skills and academic skills pointing to them all because I think they're interchangeable in both. They both work for both of those skills, all of them. But there was 2 others that I thought I didn't recognise prior that I thought I would benefit from doing this assignment. So that's why I've put them 4 there as things I've definitely have. But this is one of them, digesting literature. So I think assignment 2B's allowed me to acquire the skill of digesting and understanding literature regarding what the literature is trying to say, whether it's important or unnecessary in relation to our research. And I think that's important because it allows you to keep your literature relevant to your research, and it reduces that risk that you including irrelevant pieces of work that can confuse or even discredit your work. I believe that I have a lot more to learn to get better at this, but I think the assignment's definitely excelled me in this because it's put you in the situation where you need to condense your text and limits the amount of literature, so you really have to pick the most detailed and best bits of literature, because as you see on the poster there, it is really condensed down as to what you can fit on there. So I think the assignment itself forces you to do that, and I wasn't expecting that prior to starting it. And the other one is using others. So it's not a skill that I've really done much of prior, and maybe held back a bit too much. But using colleagues. So I know Beth, one of the members of my group, she was really good at like going to the library, finding resources that maybe I would never have thought of, or even linked to helping us. And Georgie was good at online, finding literature online that was relevant and current to, and which we could kind of bounce those ideas off to maybe work better. And then using lecturers, I think asking someone with a good understanding on the specific topic that we're focusing on, they can kind of refer you and guide you down avenues that you might not have thought of before, or overlooked, or even look in a different perspective. And working with people with better knowledge than you will only help you and only make you better, I think. And they can really guide you into saying, look, this is how it should be done. This is the correct procedure in doing the research, doing the sort of ethics things, stuff like that. And then family, you can even use your family to help proofread it, maybe get them to read it to make sure it's simple enough, maybe that it's understandable. You want a research poster to be able to be understood by the readers, and I think that's something that this assignment really forced me to do, and I think that was a good thing, can only be a good thing. So part 2, question 4, with reference to your poster, can you explain what you have learned across the sport and physical education course and how you have been able to think synoptically? So adaptability I've put there. So within each module on the course, this year more than ever, I think adaptability has been the most important skill that everyone has had to learn and develop, and I'd say that globally, not just on our course or even at our uni, everyone has. And personally, I've never been good with change, I wouldn't say. I've never adapted well to new environments. I'd say I almost have a laissez-faire attitude to not interfere if something isn't, if it's still working. Kind of reluctant to change almost. And this, I'd say, this changed within the year, and it's been pushed by these assignments and the adaptability to digital learning as well. So an assessment scenario, so applied PE principles module, our practical assessment got changed to a digital assessment, and I think that can only put you in good stead to be able to carry out the data collection on this assignment. So, like the research design segment, we had to adapt and change our data collection strategy from a face-to-face interview that would have been preferred to an online survey. So, as a team, we adapted well and quickly decided that that was the best option. We had to collect a sufficient amount of data effectively. Analysis. Within this module, I think my analytical skills have really developed as the assignment forced us to really examine the literature that will be potentially included in the poster. As like if you put in a research project on a poster, it encourages you and emphasizes the need to be efficient with what made it onto the document, onto the poster. You have to the assignment, like we had to determine what the best approach would be. So in terms of methodology, what methodology is the most appropriate for what research we're doing, how we want to carry it out, and And in terms of the whole sport and physical education course, I think the healthy lifestyles module also helped with my analytical skills to develop. As in the second assignment, you had to examine yourself regarding eating and exercise habits, and that can only be a good thing for my analysis. And it's important that I was able to interpret that data, because especially because it's personal data, it's on you. You have to be honest, and you have to be able to put it aside that it's you, and interpret the data for what it is. I think that's good, to be able to reflect on yourself, but also evaluate within reason, of the data, and the data the way it is. Part 3, question 5. What are your emerging professional development needs? So for this one, I've put professionalism, and that's the only one I've put because I feel like my professional development needs, I wouldn't say I know as much yet. Maybe after my final year, I might know more what I need, but at the minute, professionalism is a main thing I'm focusing on, because I'm nearing the end of the uni degree now, and I'll be going, hopefully doing a PGCE or equivalent. And the profession that you're going into is teaching profession. It needs to be professional. It's a professional workplace. If you follow principles and you follow policies, and it's important that you act professional. And I went on a student union volunteer program, and one of the sessions was on professional development. So from the session, I learned that you need to be aware of the way I portray myself to others. So maybe the way I act, the way I speak to people, and one of the surprising things, digitally, how I'm portraying myself digitally on the internet. So it really, we looked at ourselves as a self-portrait, and it was enlightening, really, to learn how other people character assess me through my social media. So on the session, we did a task, and another member of the call looked me up and on social media, and found out, and they did a character assessment of how I was, and I was really surprised at what they were saying, and it makes you realise the posts that you share, and you need to think about them things. And also on the development program, they did a session on the LinkedIn profile, and I've just shared that on the screen there. And I think even creating connections through apps like that, and it increases your exposure to opportunities with professionals that could really put you on that right career path. Part 3, question 6. How are you going to build on your experience this year moving forward into the third year? What action planning has taken place to help you achieve your goals? So for this, I've created a 3-step action plan, and I'm hoping it will guide me into applying for a teaching role. So number 1, I put completion, and that just means I want to complete, acknowledging that I need to complete my final year on sport and physical education course, and then further complete my additional PGCE or equivalent course. So the two should acquire me with enough skills to a good enough level where I can hold my own in a teaching environment. That's what I'm hoping for. However, I believe that I would need more experience than what I have right now, or could potentially get next year with a placement. I feel like I need more than that, to be able to feel comfortable and perform well within that teaching environment. So that's why I put number 2 as experience. So as previously mentioned, I think I need more experience and to develop on skills that have been given to me on these educational courses. So experiences could include courses like such as doing a volleyball coaching level 2, etc., or a placement within an educational setting. So I get used to being in a classroom or being out in the yard, working with children, or even a part-time job in whether it be coaching environment or even the sport industry. And then I've put the possibility of a gap year between me finishing my PGCE or equivalent course, to actually applying for a job, because I think that might be a good idea, so I can really refine those skills that those educational courses have given me, And that would be a good time to be able to catch up on the time that's been lost this past year due to the COVID pandemic, to go on practical courses and experience opportunities of working with children. And then the third step is preparation. So once I've gained enough experience where I feel I could pursue a job in physical education, this step would allow me to prepare for approaching interviews and assessments, and preparing certificates, curriculum vitaes, and even interview technique. And I've just got the reference list on there that I have used. It will also be on the uh, on the document that will also be submitted by via Turnitin. Thank you.